Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're exploring this single really profound belief about yourself. Carol Dweck, the renowned psychologist, she argues it shapes a huge part of your life, even like what you think of as your personality. It's
Yeah.
way more pervasive than just optimism versus pessimism.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's truly fascinating here isn't just the concept itself, right? It's how subtly this seemingly simple idea, it just shows up everywhere in our experience, often, quietly stopping us from reaching our true potential. So our mission for this deep dive is to pull out not just the what of Dweck's work, but maybe the why it feels so counterintuitive sometimes, and crucially, how you might shift it.
Right. And this isn't just like abstract theory floating around. Dweck's research is packed with real life stories. We're talking students grappling with really tough puzzles, CEOs facing corporate collapse. It makes these ideas really hit home. You should probably get ready for a few aha moments about your own life, I think. So let's start by quickly laying the foundation, because understanding these two core mindsets is pretty much key to everything else we'll talk about. First, there's the fixed mindset. This is where you believe your basic qualities, things like how smart you are, your personality, maybe your moral character, they're essentially carved in stone,
Got it.
fixed.
And that creates this constant, almost desperate urgency to prove yourself, like all the time. Every new situation turns into this nerve-wracking test, doesn't it?
Well,
Will I succeed or fail? Am I going to look smart or dumb?
Exactly. And then the other side is the growth mindset. This is the belief that, your fundamental qualities, they can be cultivated, developed through effort and really applying yourself. Your initial talents, your aptitudes, they're not limits. They're just a starting point for potential growth.
Yeah, just the beginning.
What's really interesting, though, is where Dweck's research actually kicked off. She wasn't setting out to define these mindsets initially, was she?
No, not at all. It actually started with her just observing kids, 10-year-olds, wrestling with really difficult puzzles. She expected, frustration, maybe kids giving up. But some of these children, instead of getting down, they'd like pull their chairs closer, rub their hands together, and say things like, "Oh, I love a challenge." Or even, "I was hoping this would be informative."
Wow.
Yeah. It completely challenged the conventional wisdom about how people cope with difficulty. It suggested the reaction wasn't really about the puzzle itself, but something deeper going on.
And it's that deeper thing that really pushes back against our sort of ingrained belief in natural talent, doesn't it? What were some of the maybe surprising figures Dweck highlighted? People who embody this idea of growth over just innate ability.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable, really. You
Yeah.
tend to think the greats were just born great. But Dweck points out figures like Charles Darwin and Leo Tolstoy. Apparently, they were considered pretty ordinary kids. Or think about Ben Hogan, the golf legend, described as completely uncoordinated as a child. Can you imagine?
No way.
Yeah. And Cindy Sherman, the famous photographer, she actually failed her first photography course. And actress Geraldine Page was told early on, basically, give up acting. You don't have the talent. It just completely shifts the focus from who you are right now to who you can become.
That really does highlight the core difference then. If you're in that fixed mindset, putting in a lot of effort feels like admitting you're not good enough. If you were truly brilliant, you wouldn't need to try so hard, right? That's the thinking.
Exactly. That's the trap. In the fixed mindset, effort is often seen as something only for people who, have deficiencies.
Yeah.
It's almost shameful. But flip that. If we look at the growth mindset, effort and challenge are seen as the actual mechanisms through which abilities develop, how potential is realized. It's not a sign of weakness at all. It's the engine. It's how you get there.
Okay, so maybe a quick check-in for you listening. Consider Dweck's own questions. They're quite revealing. Do you find yourself mostly nodding along with? Your intelligence is something very basic about you that you can't change very much. Or do you lean more towards? You can always substantially change how intelligent you are.
And how about this pair? You can learn new things, but you can't really change how intelligent you are. No matter how much intelligence you have, you can always change it quite a bit.
Yeah, those are good ones.
Most people tend to lean one way or the other, maybe just subtly. But the really crucial insight here, the hopeful part, is that you can change your mindset. It's not fixed in stone itself. Think about deciding to learn, say, a new language. Would that feel like this terrifying test of your current ability, or more like an exciting chance to grow and learn something new? That little internal conversation often reveals where your default mindset tends to sit.
Okay, let's dive deeper now into how these mindsets aren't just, academic ideas, how they play out, often dramatically, in real life. Let's start with how they completely redefine success and failure. Because the fixed mindset's approach to failure, it's particularly brutal, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It really is. In the fixed mindset, success isn't just about achieving something. It's about proving you're special, maybe even superior to others. And it's not enough just to succeed. The pressure is to do it flawlessly, like right away, first try. So failure, in this view, it stops being just an event, becomes who you are, an identity. I am a failure, not just I failed this time.
That's heavy.
It is. We see this tragically in the story Dweck tells of a 3-year-old Robert. His parents apparently cooled toward him, their words, after he didn't get into the #1 preschool in New York. He instantly became a failure in their eyes at 3. Or the very sad case of Chef Bernard Lusso, who took his own life, apparently fueled by the fear of losing his Michelin stars. He saw it as defining him as a failure, a has-been.
That's just devastating. So for the growth mindset, though, it sounds like success isn't about being perfect out of the gate. It's more about, what? Doing your best, learning, improving. So failure becomes counterintuitively almost a valuable resource.
Precisely, exactly. Failure isn't this permanent label you have to wear. It's information. It's actually a valuable source of information for growth. When Dweck studied 7th graders facing poor test grades, you saw this split. The fixed mindset students, they'd often study less or even think about cheating, anything to protect that image of being smart.
Wow.
Yeah. But the growth mindset students, they'd buckle down, study harder, find resources, figure out what went wrong. They learn from the mistake. That's why, John Wooden, the legendary basketball coach, famously said, you aren't a failure until you start to blame. Because blaming in this context, it just denies you the chance to learn anything from what happened.
And this leads right back to that powerful connection between mindset and effort, which we sort of touched on earlier. The fixed mindset seems to view high effort as this huge risk, almost like it's shining a spotlight on an inadequacy you're trying to hide.
It's a profound fear, yeah. Take the example Dweck uses of Nadja Salerno-Sonnenberg, the violin prodigy. She was apparently so afraid of trying and failing, of potentially exposing that she wasn't, inherently perfect, she actually stopped bringing her violin to lessons.
Really?
Yeah. Her teacher had to basically give her an ultimatum to get her to commit to the effort, to the practice. For the fixed mindset, effort can feel like a direct threat to your whole self-image.
So, following that logic, for the growth mindset, the phrase, I could have been a contender, that must be heartbreaking. Not comforting, because it means you missed a chance to develop, not that you had some untapped potential you didn't need to prove.
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it. For the growth mindset, I could have been, is truly heartbreaking, because not putting in the effort means you genuinely missed an opportunity for development. You left potential on the table. It's about valuing the process, the journey, not just the final outcome. There was this lawyer, Dweck mentions, who spent 7 years fighting a huge bank, and in the end, he lost the case. But he famously said, I do not regret it. I had to do it. I would not do it differently. Because for him, the effort itself, the process of fighting for what he believed in, that was valid. That was valuable, win or lose.
Okay, let's broaden this out now. Beyond just individual success and failure, these mindsets have really deep implications for how we connect with other people and how we operate in different fields. What does a fixed mindset look like when it comes to our relationships?
It can be surprisingly damaging, actually. In the fixed mindset, the ideal relationship is often seen as, instant, perfect, perpetually compatible, like a fairy tale. The underlying belief is if you truly have to work at it, if there's friction, then it probably wasn't meant to be.
Ah, the meant-to-be trap.
Exactly. And this expectation can lead to totally unrealistic demands, like expecting your partner to read your mind, or having these catastrophic reactions to relatively minor disagreements. Dweck tells the story of Charlene and Max, a couple who were deeply in love, but they ended up breaking up. Why? Because they couldn't accept that even a right relationship, a good one, would naturally require effort and working through differences.
That's fascinating, because the growth mindset's view sounds like almost the direct opposite of that. It embraces the challenges instead of seeing them as a bad sign.
It really does. The growth mindset understands that a good, lasting relationship comes from effort. It comes from working through those inevitable differences together. As relationship experts like Daniel Weidel point out, choosing a partner isn't about finding someone problem-free. It's about choosing a particular set of problems you're willing to solve together. It's much more about a shared journey of growth, not finding some static state of perfection.
Right. Choosing your problems. I like that. Okay, let's pivot now to business and leadership. We've certainly seen fixed mindset leaders throughout history, right? Often focused on their own personal greatness, their ego, sometimes leading to pretty devastating corporate outcomes. You think of maybe Lee Iacocca or that whole talent mindset culture at Enron where executives felt, bulletproof and famously blamed everyone else when it all fell apart.
Yes, exactly. And what's truly insightful when you look through Dweck's lens is how growth-minded leaders operate so differently. People like, say, Jack Welch at GE or Lou Gerstner, who famously turned IBM around, and Mulcahy at Xerox, they fundamentally transformed their companies. How? By actively rooting out that fixed mindset culture. They fostered an environment of learning, of teamwork, of development for everyone, not just the supposed stars. They often talked about their workers as the real heroes, focusing on developing everybody's potential. And that cultivated incredible resilience and innovation in those companies.
Okay, now let's talk sports. Because in sports, there's such a powerful narrative around naturals, isn't there? Just pure God-given talent. But our deep dive here into Dweck's work suggests that, maybe counterintuitively, the true champions often operate with a profoundly growth-oriented mindset.
Absolutely. It often flies under the radar. Think about Muhammad Ali. He famously failed the physical measurements they thought were crucial for boxing. He even boxed all wrong, according to the experts at the time. But his brilliance, it was his mind. He was strategic. He studied opponents relentlessly. He adapted. He constantly learned and evolved his style.
And Michael Jordan, the story's almost legendary now, cut from his high school team.
Right. Cut from the team. He became arguably the greatest basketball player ever by obsessively, relentlessly working on his weaknesses, practicing harder than anyone else. Even think about a team context, like the Boston Red Sox. After decades of the curse, often built around individual stars operating with that fixed mindset pressure. They finally broke through when they transformed the culture. They started valuing character, collective effort, and team-wide development over just individual natural talent. That's when they won the World Series.
That really makes you think, doesn't it? For you listening, do you find yourself primarily prizing that natural endowment? Or the earned ability? Because these growth mindset champions, from Ali to Jordan to Coach Wooden, they consistently remind us that true greatness seems to come from persistent learning, from self-development, from thriving on challenges, not just showing up with innate talent.
It's a powerful reframe.
Finally, let's look at the really profound impact that parents, teachers, coaches have in shaping these mindsets in young people. It's so easy, isn't it, even with the best intentions, to accidentally foster a fixed mindset.
Oh, it is incredibly easy and often counterintuitive. Praising children's ability, directly saying things like, "You're so smart," or "Wow, you're such a natural at this," seems positive, right? But Dweck's research powerfully shows that this can actually make kids more fragile. It inadvertently teaches them that their worth is tied to an outcome or an innate quality, not to the effort or the learning process itself.
So it makes them afraid to risk not looking smart.
Exactly. It can make them terrified of challenges, because what if they fail and prove they aren't naturally smart? It could even make them more likely to lie about mistakes to protect that smart label. Instead, the research strongly suggests focusing praise on the process, their effort, the strategies they used, the choices they made, their persistence.
And we've seen such powerful examples of that approach working. I'm thinking of that story about Elizabeth, the gymnast. Her father, after she lost a meet, didn't just console her, he told her the truth. She hadn't earned it yet. But crucially, he added that with hard work, she could. She took that message to heart and became a champion.
Yes, that's a great example. Or you see it in growth-minded teachers like Marva Collins, whose students felt that learning makes your brains bigger. They embraced the struggle. Or think about that brainology program Dweck developed, which literally taught students how their brains form new connections and grow stronger with learning and effort. It empowered them to see challenges differently.
So, okay, pulling this all together, what does this mean for you listening right now? The really encouraging news in all of this is that mindsets can change. It's maybe not always a simple flick of a switch, because that fixed mindset, let's be honest, it often served a purpose for us in the past. Maybe it was a way to feel worthy or protect ourselves from judgment.
That's a really important point. The journey involves maybe a few key steps. First, it's about learning to recognize when you're slipping into that fixed mindset, hearing that critical inner voice, feeling that urge to back away from a challenge. Then, it's about truly understanding its pitfalls, seeing clearly how it limits you. And finally, it's about consciously choosing to shift towards a growth orientation. This means actively embracing dilemmas not as threats, but as opportunities for learning, taking concrete steps toward improvement, even small ones. Even when, as Dweck puts it, you feel bad but do good.
Feel bad but do good. I like that.
Yeah. Think of that graduate school applicant who got rejected. Instead of complaining or giving up, she called the admissions office. Not to argue, but to ask genuinely, how can I improve my application for next time?
Hmm.
That growth-oriented action actually led to her unexpected acceptance later on, or the struggling NFL quarterback Dweck mentions. Instead of hiding his insecurities, which the fixed mindset would demand, he talked to veteran players, learned their strategies, and committed fully to the hard work.
So it's really about this continuous shift, isn't it? Moving away from a constant judge and be judged framework and moving towards a learn and help learn framework. It's definitely not like a one-time fix then. You don't just get a growth mindset and you're done.
No, absolutely not. And that commitment to growth, it really needs to be maintained. Dweck discovered, kind of worryingly, that people often stop doing the very things that cause their improvement once things start going well again. True, lasting change seems to be about adopting a fundamentally new way of seeing things. It's a long-term commitment that takes ongoing effort, and often mutual support helps a lot too. So maybe the practical takeaway is the next time you hear that critical inner voice pop up saying, I can't do this or this is too hard, just pause, recognize it. That's your fixed mindset talking. Then try to literally reframe it in your head. Okay, I can't do this yet. What's one small step I could take to start learning? That active, conscious reframing, the daily work of cultivating growth.
That's a great actionable thought. So today, we've taken quite a deep dive into the profound influence of these two mindsets, fixed and growth, drawing heavily on Carol Dweck's incredible work. You've hopefully seen how this single, simple-sounding belief about yourself can either open up a whole world of potential or subtly, almost silently, hold you back in so many areas.
Yeah, it really offers such a powerful framework, not just for understanding other people, maybe your kids, your colleagues, your partner, but really for understanding yourself on a deeper level. It fundamentally comes down to choosing to value the messy, dynamic, sometimes difficult process of becoming, over clinging to the illusion of being some kind of finished, flawless product.
So here's something to really think about. What if? What if, like those athletes and leaders we talked about, you approached your next significant challenge? Whether it's learning a new skill, tackling a difficult conversation, maybe a big professional hurdle. What if you approached it not as a terrifying final exam of your inherent ability, but as an exciting opportunity? An opportunity to stretch yourself, to learn something new, and to actually grow your capabilities in ways you might not have even thought possible. When you look back later, what will you choose to say about the effort you gave for the things you truly valued?